Hi, everyone. My name is Evgeniia. I'm the global coordinator of the ECOP program, and I'm very happy to welcome you today at this very first ECOP program webinar, something that we have been planning for a long time and something that we are very much excited about. So as you know, today we are going to talk about a very important topic, how to start an NGO. This is a topic that was brought to our attention a lot of times by our connections, by ECOPs from different countries. So we decided that we would start our webinar series with this topic because this is very important. So people were asking us, how do we start an NGO? Where do we start with? Where do we find advice? And advice is so little, and this is not something that is widely spoken about in the ECOP community. So we decided to give it a go and discuss this very important topic. So we hope that you will find this very useful, very beneficial. This webinar is being recorded and the recording will be put onto our YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You will be able to share the link with your friends, your colleagues who are not able to be present today. Going back to the topic of the webinar today, we will have three amazing presenters from different countries, from the Philippines, Lebanon, and India. And all these people have set up their own NGO. This experience that they have done so in various countries is really invaluable. And I'm really much looking forward to hearing their stories, their journeys. And I'm very much excited, as I'm sure you are as well. So a few words about the structure of today's webinar. So the webinar will last for about 1.5 hours, and every presenter will have about 20 minutes to talk about their experience, their challenges. They will share the lessons learned and give you recommendations in case you are thinking about creating an NGO as well. So after each presentation, there will be about 5 minutes that could be used for you asking any questions that you might have. So we very much want this webinar to be as informal and interactive as possible. So you have the chat option, you have the questions and answers option section on this platform. So we very much encourage you to use these sections to use the chat, to interact with each other, to present your project or your NGO, or if you have any question, please ask, please write in the chat. We really are doing this to increase the networking, the connections, all these opportunities, and we are doing this for you. So don't be shy, don't hesitate, please share any website links, discuss your projects, ask questions in the chat. So without any further ado, I think I can start introducing our three amazing speakers today. So today we have Camille from the Philippines, who is founder of Oceanus Conservation. We have Mukund Biswas, founder of Premier Foundation in India. And we have Laura Khatib, co-founder of Guardians of the Blue in Lebanon. So we will start with Camille from the Philippines, a founder of Oceanus Conservation. Hello, Camille, and again, thank you so much for joining today and presenting your journey. So while she's setting up her presentation, I would like to give you a short bio of Camille. So she's a marine biologist, director of Oceanus Conservation. She studied her master's in marine biodiversity and conservation in Belgium, and later went back to the Philippines for the warm waters, salty air, and coconut trees. She worked for more than 8 years in the field of coastal management in different islands in the Philippines, particularly in mangrove conservation and management. Okay, so I'm very much excited, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Evgeniia. So I'll share my screen now. And I hope you can see my screen. Okay.
Yes, all works.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you so much for this opportunity to actually be here today and to have this opportunity to share the experiences and the challenges that we face in an NGO world. And so my name is Camille. Francis Camille, actually short for just Camille, and I'm the co-founder and director of Oceanus Conservation. So just to start, as what Evgeniia said, I studied marine biology. So I've had more professional and academic background in marine conservation. However, in that 4 years of like research and with the project not that always been ending as well, I've seen that there was less impact on the community that we have partners with. And so I feel like there will be more impact if I move to another field, which is an NGO. And with this NGO, I start my footprint just 2018. And this is where I understand the importance of bridging the science to the groundwork with the communities, because there are times that in an academe work, the information or the scientific information is not being understood in the communities, in the local government. And so I feel that that will be more impactful if I will be in the NGO world. And so that is about 4 years in an NGO. And I feel like we've done so much, especially in the organization that I've built. So just to introduce Oceanus, it's actually a nonprofit organization, and we're focusing on blue carbon habitats. So if not all people know about it, but it's about mangroves and seagrass who absorb carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and store it in their sediment, in their trunk. And as well as we also help in their conservation. So we build capacity building with the communities, with the local government in order to protect these remaining habitats in the Philippines. We also do like education and as well as training with the communities on the proper restoration. So again, we're a small team because we only started back in 2020. And at first, just to give a personal journey of Oceanus, it was a one-woman team. So it's not really I would say it wasn't easy. And I've started getting our first intern, Vic. He is actually he has a full-time job, but he wants to contribute to the NGO. And so we had this brainstorming, and we did not know where, at the time when I opened the NGO, I was still confused what we want to focus on. And so it takes so much time as well. So it wasn't that easy from the start. And our following interns before were Eman and Maurice, and later on they became our staff in Oceanus. So I started getting, and since this, I was to get NNEs as time staff. Now, with our project sites, we are assisting in the protection and restoration of about 240 hectares of mangrove forests. Now, I'll later on explain, you're a small team, you were able to get this amount of hectares, but there's a way to do it. There's a way to partner on it. But for our sites, we have Aringay, La Union, Salay, Caguait, and Zamboanga, Sibugay. And these are all with communities and local governments. And so we have 3 main projects. That is mangrove reforestation and conservation, especially abandoned, underutilized, and unproductive fish ponds to be reverted back to mangrove forests. The second project we have is the ocean education, or the ocean literacy for all. And then the third project is Project SCORE, or it's actually our smart buoy for coral reef health. Now, I want to give a bit of an overview how we actually started as well. So back in 2020, it was an advocacy of mine personally on the ocean literacy with storytelling. And the reason did not have all, I just it was I resigned to the previous organization, so I was left with and with that, because of pandemic, I just know how to reach a lot of people, and creativity just boomed. So I was able to reach out a friend of mine who focuses on coral reef, and I proposed to her if I book for children experience with the other organization. I found out that in our language, coral reef is translated to stone. And with that, it is kind of a behavior. We see that as a behavior result, because if people think the coral is a stone, then people can actually step on them. So I was able to convince my colleague to create the storybook with me, and as well as use my own savings to hire a graphic artist to create the storybook. So with that whole year, it was all about research. It was all about who can I partner with, understanding how to manage the NGO. At that time, it was all about fundraising, and it's all about grant writing as well. So I have a huge database where I write all the grants, or the database I have, like which grants, etc., and when are their deadlines. And so with the storybook that we also created, I was able to use that as a fundraising for the activities of Oceanus. So again, it's really out of your capital, even creating the NGO itself, also with the bank fees, also with creating bank, or it was all from savings. So just that's the start of how we have to build the NGO. And then late 2020 and 2021, I was applying for different grants, right, from 2020. So I got into the Global Landscapes Forum Fund, focuses on mangroves. And that's the start wherein I was able to push for the organization. But before that, I was also volunteering on that organization as well. So by doing the volunteering in that organization, they were able to know me, and they were able to push my application as well to be the steward. I feel like with that, I think it helped to know the person who is working behind the organization. And with that year, it was a lot of networking. Now, the project score, the deployment of that buoy, it was also coming from our funds. So everything from 2020 were all from our own pocket. And then during the deployments of that smart buoy, I was able to partner with a academe. And with that academe, we were able to share some funding. And by 2021, that's when the GLF starts. So I was able to have funds, but then again, the funds is very minimal. It won't really pay for your full-time job. So basically, I, again, still have funding for, I still have savings, but most of the funds go for the operations of the organization. And we were able to partner, or a lot of these things that happened to us is actually because of just networks. So again, from the year that you start, you have to build that network, and they will know you, and they will know that you're working on the ground with communities and local government. So by 2021, we were able to join some member networks, and also partner with local government. And then late 2021, we still continue with the restoration and monitoring. Was able to attend the climate change conference because of the funder, the Global Environmental Institute. And then other funders came in, as well as partnerships with local government. And in 2022, we again went to another network program, which is the BCNet Blue Carbon Net, which is just located in the Philippines, and as well as another partnership with Manchester University to create a virtual to real game of mangrove planting. And then this year, we're able to receive another funding for the Synchronicity Earth and the National Geographic Explorer and it's all about the mangrove conservation as well. So as you can see, this is not a straight line. It's not always easy, but you have to always push and assert in any way you can, and also make sure that you can document your all your achievements and your activities. So with the mangrove work that we have done, we've already trained 200 members from the different fisherfolk association and local government units. In the mangrove restoration, we're able to plant 5,000 seedlings of 2 pioneering species. And also we created 2 nurseries of biodiverse species. As well as with this actually really helped in creating or building the network in the NGO, is to partner with academia and the local government. So when we always start with our projects, always remember that, of course, in the Philippines, mangrove is under the state or under Philippine state. So basically, you have to partner with government to be able to create projects in there. And after creating that partnership with the government or a memorandum of agreement or memorandum of understanding, then you can partner with the community. And then from that, this first photo that you see is actually a corporate sponsor. So they were able to sponsor planting in the mangrove forest. And the bottom photo is actually a training with the local fisherfolk in Aringay. So by then, it's a lot again of research. Who are the stakeholders? Who are your allies? So with that, we're able to look for the Blue Carbon Network, which is actually started by the University of the Philippines. It's an academe or a university, and that is where we have a MOA, and we were able to partner with them together. Now we're fundraising for this mangrove project, wherein we fundraise $1 to 1 mangrove sapling in all our sites. Another project is actually the Project SCORE, and that's Smart Buoy for Coral Reef Health. And this is how it looks like. We were able to deploy it in 3 high biodiversity spots, and that's in Lian, Coron, and Tubataha, which is a UNESCO World Heritage. Now, as you can see in the first photo, you can see it in your smartphone, that the results already. So you just deploy the buoy in that area, and it's powered by solar, and it already gives the data into the satellite and goes into the dashboard. And so in the dashboard, you're able to see your results automatically, and you can actually give that results to the local government and to the communities that, you know, the area needs to be monitored because it's bleaching with the coral. So this is one of our sites in Lian, and at that time it was bleaching. So it was, we had to work with the government to make sure they reduce their local pressures in the area. And in the ocean literacy part, this is our first ever project. So again, these were all funded by out of pocket. But then from that out of pocket book, I was able to fundraise it through connections. So with that fundraising event, we were able to fund about 67 storybooks all over the Philippines, by which we also were able to translate it to 6 languages, including Spanish, Icelandic, Danish, and, you know, more even languages in the Philippines. Now, if you can see in the book, it's actually English in the photo, English, and it's Tagalog, which is the Filipino language. And in the Philippines, we have so many languages, and I felt that it needs to be inclusive for all the kids who do not understand English and who do not understand Tagalog or Filipino. It has to be understood wherever they are. And this is also our first storybook that was made into a podcast, and you can find them in Spotify, Undergrounded Kids podcast. So we also fundraise this book, and this is how we do our operations. Wherein with $12, it's 1 ocean storybook to a local kid that we partner, as well as an e-copy to the donor. So if you actually donate, we give you a copy, and 1 also goes to the local kid. With this project, actually, it was very interesting because what we did, instead of, we were able to partner with youth organizations. Now, with youth organizations, they have this high tenacity and passion to actually contribute to change as well. So we partnered, we used that that energy to partner with them, give them the storybooks, discuss with them how we can mobilize communities, how we can engage the local kids. They were able to create like a role play about all this storytelling, and all the kids actually loved the whole storytelling event, as well as learning, checking what a coral looks like. So it's something to really see for them because they live near the ocean. Now, just to give some challenges, and basically one of the challenges that we faced from the start was that the organization was not taken seriously because we all look young. And that's really true, especially with mayors. And in the Philippines, it's very hierarchical in nature, meaning we look at seniors as respect and the young people as less experience. And that's really something that is happening all over the world, but it's very apparent here in the Philippines as well. The second one is the inability of the government agencies to participate and provide more information, especially during the time that I was starting the first project. So they never, again, it also boils down to we all look young, and that if we look young, they don't want to give information or that they don't want to participate, especially you're a startup organization. Another one is the lack of volunteers and staff who are interested. Because we focus on mangroves and seagrass, in the Philippines, we are one of the biodiverse countries in the world. And the most important thing for them is to look at wildlife and not on habitat. And that's the thing that I want to focus on, is the habitat is still important because it's the shelter for all this wildlife. So those are the things that we were having a hard time as well because of the volunteers. And especially here in the Philippines, it's volunteers need to be as well paid because they give their time. But it's really hard for a startup organization as well because we do not have that enough funds. And that again goes to the last point, where there's a lack of funding at the start and you're not able to pay yourself. So the lessons I want to share here is that I started with volunteering. Even when I started the NGO, I really do not know what to do. I do not know what to focus on, but it will come to a point that you will find your way in that. And the first thing you should do is just to volunteer or join leadership programs. I felt that that really helped me. I joined 2 leadership programs. One is Coalition Wild, and one also is in the online course to understand how to manage the programs. And by doing so, you'll be able to guide your organization well. Before starting an NGO, I want to also emphasize this, that ensure that there is a gap that needs to be solved in your local area. Because sometimes that gap is already solved by another organization. Now, I want to mention this because this is happening also all over the world, that when we have many NGOs working in the same topic, sometimes you're competing with the same funding. So you have to make sure also that before you create that NGO, check in your locality, in your area, if no one is focusing on that. If there is, what do they need help on? Maybe they just need help on something that sometimes they don't have time to actually produce that call or call out volunteers or interns. They have no time to do that because they're very busy implementing their projects. So the first thing I think would be the best step is to reach out to these organizations and check if they needed help. And if there's none, check on your area if there is and if you can solve it, or can you solve it by merging your powers or your passion with the other organization. The third one, start small with a feasible project. Again, we started with an ocean literacy. So a very small project with just our savings. And with that, sometimes with funding as well. So I feel, and it works for me, that if I start big and I did not show any credibility on my previous projects, I feel that they won't accept me. So I think that it should start small first and show that you were able to produce the output, and then slowly go big with your funding or application. The fourth one is find connection. You have to really know your stakeholders and allies. Now, you may ask me why I have very far away island or project sites. These are organizations and government that I personally know because of my experience from 8 years, basically. So I know the government who are there. I know who are the organizations there. So I actually have a map of in the Philippines and know who I can work with. So you have to really study your area well. Again, and then also, sorry, is the fifth, always be open to co-financing or call for interns for the time being that you cannot afford. So with the co-financing, for example, it doesn't have to be shelling out your money, but it's about, for example, or shelling out the money from the other organization. For example, in my case, I was able to partner with an university. When we deploy the buoy or the smart buoy, they actually covered for the boat and the deployment. And I cover for making the cement, finding the rope, and making sure there's food for everyone. But these are all out of pockets. So you have to be open with co-financing with the other. It doesn't have to be money that they will give out, because sometimes government and university, they cannot give cash, but they can give in-kind support. And then the lastly is join scientific activities so the university knows your projects. And this is one thing that we realize, because I am here right now joining the academe, and being in the academe makes you even have that credibility as an organization, because they will know your project. And with academic or the university, sometimes their project, they need people like NGOs to work with the communities, because they're very focused on scientific. They need people that will enhance the information or the education down to the communities. So you have to join with them so you can understand what they're doing, and you can bring that knowledge down to the local communities. So our future goals, hopefully by 2030, is that we're able to establish a mangrove seagrass interface protected area in at least one of our sites with sustainable financing. So this is one of our sites, and as you can see, it's merging mangroves, seagrass, and those little larvae are actually fish. That's very, very important. So I think this is not being protected in the Philippines. They never protect seagrass purely, or even mangroves. So it would be nice to increase the protection, not just coral reef, but these two ecosystems that are nursery for a lot of commercial fish. And as well as we hope to create that sea lab where we can have more research and conservation activities in partnership with universities. So that ends my presentation, and you can find us from oceanusconservation.org, social media, Oceanus Conservation, and Instagram, Mangroves for Our Future. And you can also email us there, and I'll also give this in the chat. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, Camille. That was really very interesting and very inspiring, I think, for all of us. And yeah, I can feel that there was a lot of dedication, and you should have a lot of patience in reaching out to all the potential funders and partners. So, and it's great that it all worked out. So best of luck for your future plans. So right now I would like to ask if there are any questions. If any of our audience, or maybe the other panelists, if they have any questions to you regarding your journey. So for the participants, you can use the function to raise your hand, and I will see that in the list of participants, and I can let you speak by switching on your mic. So just raise your hand if you have any question. So for now, I have a question to you. So you were saying that there are a lot of, you were looking for partners. Do you have any strategy on how you do that? And like, is any partner a good partner, or do you kind of filter them So how do you do that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So for me, what works in the organization as well to look for partners is to know first your project, what your project is, and who actually focus on them. With Oceanus, we strive to be a science-based organization. And by doing so, we wanted to really work closely with academic scientists or university scientists. And so we strategically know who are the mangrove experts, who can train us, and we train the community as well. So it's giving knowledge to the communities. So looking for that allies who also focuses in coral restoration or who focuses on seagrass conservation. So you have to really specifically know who are these people and who are the head of these people, so you can reach out to them and know what you really want. So at first, know what you want, and then you can reach out to these people for help or for training. For partnerships or for funders, for example, it really depends if we need to filter them, because there are times that it doesn't align to the goals of the organization. So I've had experiences that I do not necessarily need to partner because it's really just the timing. So there are times that we started first and then it just lost contact. Also because of there's lack of funding, or that there's no in-kind support from them, or there was just no follow through. So it also, because we do a lot of implementation, we don't have also time to really also follow up with a lot of organizations or people. But yeah, there are times that we need to filter because of just aligning the goals of the organization and their goals as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I see that that's really very, very smart and really saves a lot of time. I understand. Thank you for your answer. I don't see any questions from the audience, so probably there will be some more questions later after all the presentations, if somebody wants to ask any question at the end of the webinar. So then I think we can move to our next speaker. And thank you so much, Camille. That was really very interesting, very insightful. And I hope that people who will be watching this recording as well later, then they will be able to contact you and ask for any further information if needed. That was really very helpful. Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Mukund Viswas, founder of Primea Foundation from India. Hello, Mukund. Nice to have you here today with us. So he's currently heading the organization as its chief functionary. So as you are setting up your presentation, I will also introduce a little bit you with your background to our audience. So he's a law graduate from the Department of Law, the University of Calcutta in 2017. He's presently practicing law at the Calcutta High Court as an advocate. He also secured a postgraduate diploma in environment law and policy from NLU Delhi. His love for nature and eagerness to work for its preservation has been an inspiration that motivated him to extensively work in the remote parts of the Sundarban deltas and the eastern Himalayas and bring into existence an organization, namely Primea Foundation, in 2016. It's been more than 6 years since he has been working among local communities in the remote parts of Sundarbans and eastern Himalayas in India. So thank you so much again, and the floor is yours. We're looking forward to hearing your story.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me here today. It's glad to be a part of this international community of young conservationists, like-minded conservationists, especially in this era of Anthropocene, if I may say. So to introduce my organization, the name of our organization is Primea Foundation, and we are based out of the Indian state of West Bengal. which is one of the most geographically diverse state in India, starting from the snow-capped mountains to the lush green fields, fertile plains of Bengal to the Bay of Bengal, and we also have the world's largest mangrove forest, the deltas of the Sundarbans. So our story is that of a story from passion to practicality. So we were a group of travelers, travel enthusiasts. We used to travel a lot during our college days. Our passion for exploring the offbeat travel destinations, living with the local communities, sharing their food, testing their food, sharing their folklores, learning from them. We used to love this a lot. But then when this also opened a new perspective for us all. And that is that when we realize the plight of the local communities, the places we used to visit, those were most affected by the adverse effects of the climate change. We saw lack of infrastructure, educational infrastructure, healthcare facilities. We saw encroachment of, the so-called development model, which is ruining the traditional livelihood, traditional way of life of these indigenous communities. So me and my travel buddies, we used to have this travel club. So one day we discussed this, we realized we used to share the same passion, and we realized that we need to do something for these places we love. So accordingly, I approached my colleague, my friend Shoboshachi, who is my school friend. Orunabho, I used to know him from Law College, where we were studying in the same college. Shaudesh Kotal, Dipanjan, we used to know them from the long time. So we discussed, and we had this chalked out this plan. And especially me being from a legal background, I felt that as a student of law, it's my duty, it's my obligation to do climate justice for these people. Because you see, most of these communities, these people living in those remote places of the Eastern Himalayas and in the Sundarbans, they were responsible for just a fraction of climate emission, the global greenhouse emission, but they were the worst sufferers. So we had to do something so that we can contribute in this ongoing fight for climate justice and preserve Mother Nature, the wonders of Mother Nature. So accordingly, Pramya came into existence in 2016. And the journey, it has been, we had experienced a lot of ups and downs. At times it's been a roller coaster ride for us. It has taken emotional toll on us. It's been a 6-year-long journey. But at times I feel, life is about risking something, for the dream that only you can see. And the distance between the dream and reality is called action. So I would like to show some of our activities. This presentation will be based only in the Sundarban areas. We also work in the Eastern Himalayan region of West Bengal, in the forest villages of the Himalayas. But this presentation will be primarily based in Sundarban. So here it goes. This is me, and I have behind me Shaudesh Kotal. He's one of the co-founders. I have Shoboshachi behind me and Dipanjan. So this was a picture which we clicked when we had embarked on this journey in the Sundarbans. We gathered the school children. We used to plant mangroves. This is the area where we walk. The overview, the aerial view of this area. As you can see, this is part of the Indian Sundarbans. The whole green area that you can see, it's totally the tiger reserve, the dense mangrove, the core area of the Sundarbans, and the rest of the part. And this is the island where we walk. The name of the island is called Jharkhand. This is just to give you this is the landscape of the tight country. We have the mud flats. And this was our first day in field back in 2016. And the first thing which is most necessary to start off with is to know the area, to crisscross the area, the geography of it all. You have to know the demography of this area. So we used to have a lot of, we used to crisscross this whole island. We used to mingle with the local communities, get the problem statements. And this is our team Pramya back in 2016. I have, from the back, I have Orunabho, I have Shobhoshachi, I have Dipanjan, I have Swadeshda, and I have Rahul Jha, who used to be a part due to his, other commitments. He is not being a part of now. So we also have our field first. This is the first field team in Sundarbans. So this was our first Mangrove Action Squad. We named it Mangrove Action Squad. So they used to collect the mangrove propagules from the rivers. We used to plant them in the small nurseries. We started with merely 1,000 mangrove, with an ambition of 1,000 mangrove saplings. So this was our first mangrove plantation day. And then gradually, this led to the formation of the women-led Mangrove Action Committee. First the number grew to 70, then it grew to 100. And it was in 2019 that we got huge response from the local women. And with their help, we could conserve an area of about 38 acres of mangrove vegetation. This was in 2019 when our ambition was to plant only 4,000 mangrove saplings. We also work among the local communities, imparting local, in conserving traditional knowledges, imparting community education and skill development. So this was the initiation of our first evening tuition class back in 2017. Used to be a very small, structure. And gradually, this was the foundation of the Pramya Pathshala, which is our community education and skill development center. And today, this is the Pramya Pathshala, which is our community education and skill development center. At present, we have 80 local kids studying there. The Pathshala is totally digitalized. We impart digital education there. We also have outdoor sessions in sync with the nature, so that they are more comfortable learning amongst nature. So that is also our viewpoint, that they have to learn things surrounding them. So they have to learn their ecology, they have to learn their environment first, so that the intangible cultural heritage gets conserved, that gets preserved, that gets transferred to the next generation. We also respond to the fury of nature. So this was our major, as you can see, in the aftermath of super cyclone Amphan, we carried out a pan-Sundarban relief program. So we could reach 2,350 households, serving almost more than about 10,000 individuals. We crisscrossed the whole of the Sundarban deltas. And this was a big milestone for us. This gave us a lot of exposure also. And this was the initiation of our, this was a very ambitious project of planting 200,000 mangrove saplings. It started in 2020 with the help of 100 local women of our Pramya Mangrove Action Committee. They used to collect the propagules from the river, from the mud flats. We used to plant them, we used to nurse them, and then plant them along the mud embankment of the village, which gave protection to along about 2.5 kilometers of the mud embankment. And there's a specific thing about the Sundarbans. These mud embankments, they're the lifeline for the people there. And this was the area that we could conserve. It's considerably a small area, but still, this part of the area, as you can see, demarcated, it is totally, I don't have the current picture, it's totally green now. And this has also given protection from the cyclones that we faced, from Cyclone Amphan. Then after the cyclone, we had Yash, and before that we had Foni, a number of cyclones, and especially also from the high tides, which is very frequent in these parts of the world. This was a glimpse of our mangrove plantation. And this was possible by mobilization of the local women, and we also initiated this ecosystem service, which we got help from Capgemini. It was a CSR project. This total project, they funded 50% of the amount. And yes, this was made possible with that amount also. And the rest, all these you can see, starting from our Patshala to the mangrove plantation, our administrative costs and everything for the last, I don't know, for the last 4 years, maybe, those were funded out of our pockets. And at certain times, especially during this mangrove plantation and while building the Patshala, we had also called for crowdfunding initiatives, and we got overwhelming response. And this was also possible because the women working there, they worked mainly voluntarily all throughout the year, apart from the ecosystem services that we provided. So we used to impart skill developments. We used to have skill development programs there. This you can see, we used to teach them about scientific fisheries, vermicomposting, mushroom trainings. And this is also another important, interesting as well as important part, the Ardent Retreat of Sundarbans. Because after almost 2-3 years of running out of pocket, the whole organization, we were facing donor fatigue. So we had approached, we had approached a donor multiple times, and it was, the donor also got exhausted. That is the thing that in civil society that we are facing across the world, I believe, this fatigue of the donors. And also at times, as Camille was discussing the challenges that we had to face, that's a similar thing, like the challenges like, most importantly, to sustain the administration, the operation of this whole area, the whole project site, the transportation. You have to have the field staffs and the volunteers. They had to be accommodated. We had to, and most of the skilled volunteers, they had to be paid. So this was the common thing that we faced. So we came up with this strategy, with this plan, that what if we can self-fund our organization to a certain extent? What if we can fund our administrative cost or the organizational cost that we have to incur on a daily basis from a self-sustaining source? So we made this initiative called the Ardent Retreat Sundarbans. It's basically what we call a homestay. It's in collaboration with the local people. So we are in partnership with the local community members. We had constructed this mud cottages where we can accommodate almost 15 guests at a time. And as you know, that Sundarbans is also a great tourism area, especially during the winter season. The Sundarbans, lots of tourists, they visit this area. So we thought of harnessing this potential and using this and streamline this into our organization. So accordingly, we built this initiative, and we serve totally authentic ethnic local cuisine, which also helps in conservation of the local culture, the heritage. And these ethnic cottages are made out of mud bricks. Not a single cement has been used in this building of these mud houses. These are totally mud houses with thatched roofs, bamboos, and minimum amount of wood were used in construction of this. So with this, we have been able to sustain our operational cost in this area. And we are also planning to, to create a similar setup of this Ardhan retreat so that we can self-fund our Pathshala, which is our community education and skill development center there, so that the part of the revenue that we generate can be used in sustaining that project. And this was, you might ask that the fund that we had to, that was required to build this Ardhan retreat, this was mainly self-funded out of our pockets. We also took loan from a number of people. Hopefully we have been able to, repay those loans. So yes, this was a very rough and tough phase for us all. So because you have to, constantly, because as I said, you are dreaming of something, but you know that you can achieve the dream, you can make the dream into reality only through action, and no one else can see that dream. And it was very hard to convince people to invest in these, in this project, especially when it's a non-profit. You don't have any return from these projects. It's very hard to convince people. But then, fortunately, we got some good Samaritans, and we have been able to, materialize that and construct this Ardhan retreat. And also, I would, this was a big news for us. We were part of this amazing international community of young ocean professionals. We were acknowledged by them. Our efforts and our hard work got recognized, and we are thankful to the Early Career Ocean Professionals Program and the United Nations Ocean Decade for all their support. And another thing is that everything was made possible apart from the fund branches and everything, through building this authentic connection with the local communities. When we used to go to certain place, whether it's in the Himalayas or in the Sundarbans, we knew that we had to win the trust of these local communities, because we were from the cities. Why will they trust us? That's the main question. So this was a very important part, that this trust must be there. So we used to live with them, we used to mingle with them. We have become now a part of the local community, part of their daily problems, part of their daily life. We also we have been responding to the distress. This was the image that I can show you. This is in the aftermath of Cyclone Amphan, when the embankment of the village, it breached and the saline water was entering the village. We intervened. We provided immediate relief, disaster relief to the flood affected residents of the village. And along with the women of a Mangrove Action Committee, we rebuilt this embankment with the help of, this, as you can see, these are all the mud embankment that got breached. And with the help of them, we responded and intervened, and we have been able to withhold the saline water intrusion into the village. Also, during Cyclone Yas, which happened in 2021, we were on the spot. We evacuated people from the vulnerable areas to higher places, and we were prepared from learning from the experience during the previous Cyclone Amphan. We were very much prepared. We mobilized the local villagers, and before the cyclone hit, we already have been able to secure the embankment with the help of garlic bags and whatever materials we got handy, and we were successful in that. And fortunately, during cyclone years, we could save the village from saltwater intrusion. Also, all throughout the COVID lockdown period, almost for, it was 2.5 years, our Pathshala had to be shut down. We carried out this child nutrition program so that we can stop, school dropouts, so that they are in touch with the with the school premises, they're in touch with education. If not education, they're in touch with the education system as a whole. For 3 months, we have been able to, with the help of our donors, we crowdfunded this, and we have been able to provide them with free meals, 1 meal a day, which was also enough for the local community, because what they felt like they have an extra mouth to feed. So the chances of child labor would have also increased. And we also carried out medical checkup camps for women and children. And we also had this field clinic set up in the village, where we had oxygen supplies, oxygen cylinders and beds, which was necessary during the COVID period. And we also have been able to make the women aware of their rights. These are pictures of anti-trafficking legal camps that we had recently. And this interesting yet very gruesome reality of the Sundarbans, that due to climate change, a lot of people are becoming, climate migrants. They're migrating to nearby cities or faraway towns in search of jobs, because every time a cyclone hits, they're getting the window, the recovery period, because due to the increase in intensity of the cyclones, the recovery period of this, as the salt water is entering the paddy fields, they're not being able to cope up with that. So people are migrating to cities, and women are being victim of trafficking. So this was a anti-trafficking campaign program that is still going on in the village. And we also have women healthcare checkups. This is the below pictures that you can see. It was about women health. And so, like, when you have won the trust of the local communities, you have been with them through the thick and the thin, they trust you. And that I feel is the most important part whenever you are going to work, especially in these remote areas. You have to win the trust of the local communities. And we firmly believe that the local communities are the best allies of nature. Without empowering these local communities, no conservation effort can ever succeed. So Pramya, as an organization, we firmly believe in that thought, and we are working towards that thought. And I wish you all the best, and I wish that we also succeed in our efforts. And thank you. That was it. Now, if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. That was really very interesting, and slightly another experience than from Camille was talking about, and really very much invaluable. And I know that we have quite a few participants here today from India, from the same region actually. So maybe they have any questions. So please, you should have the function to raise your hand if you want to ask a question, or the chat is also open, so you can also write in the chat. So there is a comment from Debarati. So Debarati is our intern for the ECOP program for the regional node in Asia, helping our coordinator Rafael. So she says, thank you, Mukut, for a nice talk. As she's doing her research based on Sundarbans and visits fields frequently, she can directly connect to the challenges you wanted to address. I'm glad that you presented Sundarbans issues globally among the ECOPs. No questions, but very much looking forward to collaborate with Premier Foundation and Mangrove Restoration work, and would love to visit Premier Bachala. Thank you, Debarati. Yeah, so that's great that we have already, you know, an intern and another person working for the same cause. So we'll be happy to connect you two for further cooperation. Thank you so much. So I wanted to ask you actually a question. So for those, so for example, like Debarati or anyone else in the region, for those who want to cooperate with you or kind of get engaged on a personal level, an individual level, what can they do? How they can, you know, connect to you, or what are the pathways to get engaged and contribute to what you're doing?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, absolutely, they can get in touch with us. I will share the website link below, and at the same time, I will also share my WhatsApp number. We welcome any new ideas, and we always in search of new volunteers, of course. So yes, I will share the necessary details below in the chat box. And at the same time, I would like to say that as far as the contribution is concerned, we have lots of projects going on now. First and foremost, we have the education project that is going on there in Sundarbans. So it's a community education and skill development program. So we'd be glad if we have enthusiastic young people on board with us, those who can contribute in making of the study materials that we are planning to do. And at the same time, we are also planning to, we are in collaboration with recently we have approached the Rotary International. We are doing this blue carbon economy project on blue carbon economy. It will be based on mangrove, integrated mangrove and aquaculture. Basically, it will be a model project there. So we'll be needing a lot of technical help, and at the same time, coordinations, the office works, everything, like any help is always welcome.
Great, thank you so much for this explanation. I hope that our intern can also disseminate this information among her networks and colleagues, so that you can get really wide support from the community, further support from the regional community. So thank you so much, and we are happy to have you as our partner and support you as needed. Thanks a lot for your work.
Thank you.
So I guess we don't have any direct questions to the speaker, but again, if you have any questions, you may post them in the chat, and Mokut will be able to see that and respond directly to you in the chat. So now I would like to go over to our third speaker, this time from Lebanon, to Laura Khatib, who is co-founder of Guardians of the Blue. Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. So Laura is the French-Lebanese co-founder of Guardians of the Blue. She has always been passionate about the protection of the Mediterranean Sea and humankind's connection with the ocean. She's now based in Byblos in Lebanon and works on developing and spreading local ocean literacy, raising awareness on the lionfish invasion, and documentary making with her fiancé. That's really great, and we are very much looking forward to hearing about your NGO and your story.
Thank you so much. So hello everyone. So I will tell you my side of the story, my insight from my experience in co-founding Guardians of the Blue. So I want you to remember also that everyone has a different path. There are so many ways to create an NGO. There's not one right way. So I hope that you will find my experience helpful helpful and that it can, give you some advice. So first of all, I will start with talking a little bit about my personal journey and what led me to create Guardians of the Blue. So I'm French and Lebanese, but I was born and raised in France, and I've always been passionate about the ocean and its protection. And when I finished high school, I decided to, but then, when I finished my bachelor after the 3 years, I was a bit lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I decided to take a gap year, and I went to Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, and I spent 9 months there. And I was basically volunteering, exploring, and it was really, 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 really helpful experience for me because it allowed me to learn more about myself, learn more about what I want to do as a job, learn about what are my abilities, and through volunteering I discovered that I was good at managing projects, managing the team. And so it's also in that time that I met Samer, who then became the other co-founder of Guardians of the Blue and who is also my fiance. But when I finished that gap year, I went back to France to do a master's in development economics and project management. And we actually created Guardians of the Blue for my end of year internship in Byblos. So it was in October 2020, but we really started working in March 2021. And now I'm in an advanced master in a sustainable blue economy. So a little bit more about Guardians of the Blue. We are based in Byblos in Lebanon. So it's a small coastal city in the north of Lebanon. It's a very touristic destination. It's a very, very beautiful city. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It has over 8,000 years of history, and it's quite peaceful and protected from the national crisis and the chaos that's happening right now in Lebanon. And so we work mainly on 3 aspects. So first of all, we work on developing and spreading local ocean literacy, because in Lebanon, there are very, very few organizations working on that. And ocean literacy is really, really not developed, and ocean education, as a whole is very limited. So that's very important for us. And then we also work on mitigating the impacts of the lionfish invasion. So this is mainly the work of Sam, because he's a professional scuba diver and lionfish hunter and instructor. So if you don't know about lionfish, it appeared in the Mediterranean Sea 10 years ago. It came from the Red Sea through the Suez Canal, and now it's having a really devastating impact on native ecosystem because it has no predators and it's very aggressive. So we're working on mitigating these impacts in Lebanon. And we also organize scuba diving cleanups. So our overall mission is to advocate for the protection, the knowledge development, and the restoration of the Lebanese Sea. And this is our team, is just the 2 of us, the two co-founders. We also have some volunteer divers. I will talk about that a bit later. And we have a few partners, and I will also talk about them later. So a little bit about the project that we have been doing, since March 2021. So to give you an idea, so at first you have to do, and I mean, it depends on your context, but you have to do, the administrative process. So, you have to go through, depending on the laws in your country, but you have to register your organization, you have to write some legal documents and things like that. And you have to create a logo. So our logo was designed by Samer, actually. And then something that I did, and I think, could be interesting. And I did it because, I had to write my master's thesis about this, but I did a literature review on the local context, and it was like really wide because there was not much scientific articles being written on Byblos, whether it was in marine sciences and history, economics, sociology. The very little data. So I also expanded on Lebanon and the Mediterranean as a whole. But overall, reading all these articles is important because now I have, reliable data, okay, but it's really important to know the context you're working in. And it's really important to have some reliable data that you can base your work on, really. And then also at first created an Instagram page because to share some information and to reach out to Lebanon. There are also other social and as Camille and Mukut have been saying, we contacted local stakeholders. So it's really important to get in touch with the people working in your area that are connected to what you're doing. So whether it's the scientists who wrote the articles that I read that are working where I'm working, or whether it's professors of the local universities, but also, for example, for me in my context, the archaeologist that's been working here, because there's a lot of history and there's a lot of archaeological sites around the city and on the coast. So, you have to check, who is relevant, and you also have the fishermen, you have the everyone who's working on the coast. Basically, I think it's really important to contact them, to have them in your network, whether just to share some information with them and for future collaboration and project. It's really important. So also we work since the beginning with the only diving club of the city, Xifias Diving Club, which is run by the sister of Samer. And so this allows us to work more easily because, for example, what we were able to do through this cooperation is that I was able to make a database and a list of all the marine species which have been recorded in Byblos. And I did that through all the videos and pictures that were taken in the diving club through the through the years, the past 10 years. And this didn't exist anymore. And this was possible just because of the picture taking. Why scuba diving? And when you don't have scientific articles or work being done, you have to be creative. You have to find ways to work. So this is an example. And then we also created some infographics for the divers to raise awareness, when they come diving, to talk to them about marine life and about their city and about what's happening in Lebanon. And we also organize the scuba diving cleanups with some of the club divers, the ones who are willing to volunteer. And these two last things, they were made possible thanks to Sustainable Ocean Alliance. So they had last year a microgrant program, and we were selected. So it was in June 2021. So we received this microgrant in order to organize some scuba diving cleanups around the coast in Byblos. So thanks to that, we remove 3.5 tons of waste from the harbor, mainly from the harbor of Byblos. A lot of tires, a lot of plastic bottles, a lot of glass bottles, and we involved a little bit more than 20 volunteer divers. And thanks to that grant, we were able to cover the cost of the diving for them, and compensate them for their time and their efforts. And this is really important, as Camille and Mukut have said before. When you have volunteers, you have to compensate for their time in a way or another. And also thanks to that grant, we did the infographics, and we were able to organize some awareness sessions, and also to buy some equipment for the cleanup. Then, sorry. Also something that can be possible for you, just to give you an example of what can be possible. This brand is a local Lebanese brand, selling sustainable swimwear made from recycled ocean waste. And they contacted us through our Instagram page. They saw our work and they were like, wow, I want to help. And so now for every purchase, they donate $1 to us. And so that's why also, Camille and Mukut have been saying it's really important to develop your network, because things like that, opportunities can come just like that. People see your work, they are inspired, they want to help you, and then they propose. So, and it's also really nice to have some support from local brands also. And now our current project, it's with the Lexicon. through their Greener Blue storytelling lab. So it's made in the context of the International Year of Artisanal Fishing and Aquaculture. And so we're actually right now producing a short film on lionfish hunting in Byblos, so on the daily work of Samer. So you can see some pictures of what it looks like. So this is really, really nice. And for us, it's a really nice tool to spread ocean literacy, you know, movies, documentaries. It's really accessible, and it's really, you know, a very easy way to share some images and to share some information with, you know, every Lebanese person. And here I put a little QR code of a video we made with some footage from the diving club, and you can have a little sneak peek of, you know, the marine life in Lebanon, and also the music was made by Samer. So now I want to share with you the challenges we faced and some lessons that I hope can be helpful for you. So some challenges, first of all, you may or may not know that in Lebanon right now, the political, economical situation is very, very complicated. You know, since 2019, the crisis that the country has been facing is labeled as one of the top 3 crises in the world since the mid-19th century. There's now 80% of the population in poverty, 40% in extreme poverty, and the currency, you know, in 2019, $1 was 1,500 Lebanese liras, and today it's 40,000. So when you work in a context like that, it's quite complicated because it's hard to ask two people to come and volunteer when they have to you know, to worry about what they're gonna eat tomorrow or how they're gonna manage their personal life. So that's definitely a big challenge. And then also another big challenge is that we don't have a support from our local public authority. So when we started, we met with the mayor of Byblos, and we told him, you know, about our work, about what we would like to do in the city, you know, the cleanups, raising awareness and things like that. And he wasn't interested at all, zero interest from his part. And so at the beginning, he was helping us when we were doing the cleanups. He was sending the trucks to send, you know, the garbage to the recycling facilities. But then, you know, they stopped replying and they stopped helping. So that's definitely a big challenge when you have to work without the help of the public authorities. But, you know, it just, you know, forces you to find alternative ways and to be creative. And there's always a solution in the end, even though our opportunities are maybe a bit less open. We can still work, you know, there's still so much things to do. So you have to go with it. And, you know, in Lebanon also as a whole, environmental issues are really, really at the bottom of the priority list right now. So that's the thing. And also, you know, coming from that, the scientific research and, you know, the work overall in marine protection in Lebanon, it's very limited. You know, I can count on my hand the number of people who are working for the protection of the sea in Lebanon. So we had to start from scratch. You have to invent things, you have to be creative, you have to build a network, you have to spread information to try to, you know, bring more people to work in this field. And also, as Camille was saying earlier, not being taken seriously. So when you're young, when you're a woman, you know, in Lebanon is the same as in Philippines, you know, older people, you know, there's respect. You have to work with that, you know, you still have to go through it. You can't stop because of that, you know. So now some lessons. So first of all, don't be scared of the administrative process. So it's just a formality, you know, you just have to write a legal document, register to the public authority, and it's done. You know, don't be scared of that. And second of all, be careful about the banking fees. So at the beginning, if you're not going to handle a large amount of money, I would suggest not to create a bank account just for the NGO, because depending on the banking laws in your country, I mean, usually there's not special offers for NGOs, so you will have the banking fees of as if you were a company, and these fees can be really, really high. So unless you will manage large amounts of money or grants or things like that, don't create a bank account. Sorry. And then also, as we have been saying, you need to reach out to the maximum amount of people possible, whether it's in your country, in your city, or even outside your country, because, me, for example, once I found out all the people in Lebanon working in the sector, then, I had to find people in the Mediterranean as a whole, for example, and even in the whole world, you can learn from anyone in the world working in your sector. And the more you build this network, for example, on LinkedIn, the more it will be easy to find opportunities, because people share these opportunities and things like that, and then it will be really easy. You just go through your feed and you will have, oh, there's this webinar or this thing, and so that's why it's also really important. Then a really important thing that I want to stress is that you need to learn to plan and manage your time to protect your mental health. So when you're working as a volunteer, usually you're passionate and you don't count your hours, and you work 24/7. But on the long term, this doesn't work. You will be burned out, you will be stressed, and you will be exhausted, and you won't do a good job. Sorry, I will drink some water. So you really have to learn to fix some time limits for you, personal life, working life. And even though you're passionate, and even though you want to do so many things, you really have to set some limits, because otherwise on the long term, you will be really exhausted. And then also something else, being a leader, it doesn't mean to be giving orders. It doesn't mean being above your team members, but it means knowing how to communicate and to guide your team towards their best. So, sorry, I will drink again. So you really have to, whether you're a team of 2 people, a team of 20 people, whether you have a vertical or horizontal hierarchy, you need someone in your team that would act as a leader. So we'll make sure that, there's cohesion in your group, that will make sure that people communicate together, and that everyone is working, in a healthy way, in a good way, and is doing their best. And then finally, always keep searching and keep learning. There's so many opportunities. There's always something new happening. There's always new workshops. Now with the Ocean Decades, there's so many things happening online, in present. So keep looking for that. And then some future perspective for us at Guardians of the Blue. So our long-term goals, it will be to create some impactful documentaries about humans and the sea and the marine life in Lebanon and the Middle East, to spread awareness on lionfish and lionfish consumption, and to advocate for the development of, science policy interface, mainly in Lebanon, but that's, very long term, and overall to reconnect humans to the ocean. And so I want to leave you with that quote that personally, it really helped me. It's that the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. So, I put this, in the top of my to-do list, because, sometimes you're working so hard, you're doing so many things, and you feel like you're not having any impact. But, you have to remember that the work you're doing now, maybe in 2 months, maybe in 1 year, you will be like, oh, wow, I did this like 1 year ago, I did this 2 months ago, and now, I can use it, and, you always have to remember that you have to be patient. Managing an NGO, it's hard work, as we've been saying, it's up and downs. It can be really exhausting. So you really have to work on yourself to to do the best you can. So thank you for everything. Feel free to reach out. This was very short. There's so many things I want to say, but there's no time. So please feel free to reach out to me. I will be glad to answer any question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. That really contained a lot of very valuable information. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, it's great that you have put all your contact details here so that our participants can and our listeners and viewers later can have a look and contact you. And I remember you were saying already when we first met with you a while ago, you were saying that it was very hard to find anyone in the country where like an NGO working on the same issues, and in the region as well. So while I was listening to all your presentations, I thought that it would be potentially great to have some kind of a database of maybe ECOP-led NGOs or something along these lines, or like an ECOP NGOs union where people from all over the world can ask each other for help and support, and share some advice, some practical tips on the banking account and legal things. Okay, they're all different per country, but there are still some similarities and common sense that can be shared. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I hope you will all also benefit from or have benefited from each other's presentations, from from our speakers, and still learn something new for you. So I will ask whether we have any questions, any comments from our audience. Yeah, so Laura put her contacts in the chat for everyone so that it's easier to find her on LinkedIn, Instagram, and or write her an email. So please free to reach out if you would like to. So yeah, I don't see any raised hands. Yeah, so Chunhua is asking, what's your biggest obstacle you faced in the whole process? Yeah, thank you for the question, Chunhua.
So, as I said, I mean, at the time, when I met with the mayor and I saw that he really didn't care about what we were doing, it was a bit heartbreaking, because I came with all my innocence and all, my, whoa, we're gonna do some job, and then he was like really, he broke everything down. So that was, a bit of an obstacle. But then you're like, okay, I'm not gonna stop working just because of that. So, this is definitely an obstacle. And I mean, just, also finding volunteers. We've been saying that also. Mo could say that finding volunteers, it can be hard, because depending on the situation, it's hard to find a way to involve people that they want to come and give their time for free, or just for a little compensation. That's definitely hard.
There is also another question from Marie Morgan. How did you choose where to base your NGO?
So, as I said before, I'm French Lebanese, but I don't come from the city of Byblos, but my fiance does. So this was a really easy choice, because he comes from there, and there's the diving club with his sister. And I mean, as I said, working with a diving club, in cooperation with a diving club, it really helped us a lot. And also, this is a very, very nice city to live in. So whether it's personally or for work, it was logical to come here. And also Camille said that there was no one working here for marine protection here. So also there was a big gap to fill.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. So you need to be looking for gaps and see where you can help and where you can find your place in that. Okay. Are there any other comments, maybe by Mukut or Camille, if you want to provide any like final comments or recommendations. So we're like a few minutes over the time, but yeah, maybe you want to have any final words.
Well, none so far. I've already mentioned it in the presentation, but I hope we're able to actually give light to everyone who wanted to create an NGO, and just to give like I like the words of Laura, like it's really planting the seed. And again, we all face the same obstacles, and I think we just need to push for it and always don't give up. A lot of organizations give up because of lack of funding, but the time that you give up is actually an opportunity already for like might able to already get the funding, right? So please don't give up to helping the planet. So
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Mukut, maybe you want to say something? I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's been a great enriching experience, actually, learning experience, especially from Camille and Laura. We need to, especially in this era of the climate change, we need to have more like-minded people on board, especially youth working in the same field of conservation, having the same motive, and especially we should strengthen this network under the leadership of ECOP. So yes, I am looking forward to it, and I wish everyone all the very best.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions. No raised hands. Right. Okay. So then I would just like to thank again everyone. So our speakers for being brave enough to be presenters at our very first webinar. So thank you very much. And I would like to thank all the participants today. So please stay tuned. We are going to proceed with this webinar series. So we are partnering with other organizations to tackle on topics such as science communications and plastics, blue economy, updates on ocean governance, etc. So we really want to cover topics that are not so easily covered, and we really think that this will be helpful for ECOPs because the webinars are free for ECOPs. And again, if any of you has any ideas, any topics, any themes that you think would be beneficial to have a webinar on, whether in your region, your country, please reach out to us, and we will proceed on that. So there's yeah, thank you so much for the positive comment. Yeah, so really, if you have any ideas, please reach out to us because we are open to any ideas, and we think that with all the networks and connections we have now and all the amazing community we have now globally, there is really a fantastic opportunity to speak about topics that are very rarely spoken about, that it's very hard to find information on the internet, etc. So yeah, I'm very much excited about this opportunity. And thanks again to all of you. Have a great day, evening, and I hope to see you soon in our next webinar. Thanks a lot.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.